It's great to have you here on the Clark Howard Show, where our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And I want to talk about one of the monthly expenses that there's a shift going on right before our eyes. And there are things you can do today that will save you money. I'm going to tell you how your home internet is like a hole in your wallet and how to close that hole. And coming up later, so I get a lot of questions from people that are more like complaints. Why don't I talk about train travel? Because I almost never talk about train travel. But there's actually improvements going on in the Northeast Corridor, believe it or not, and with train service and a few other places in the United States. I want to talk about that because air travel is actually slowing down while travel by rail is starting to speed up. So, internet connections. You got all the internet providers, well, when I say all, we got the cable monster that provides internet maybe on your street, your home. And then we may have a local monopoly phone company offering internet. And they're a little bit tweedledee, tweedledum. And they have been pushing higher and higher speeds and creating this perception in our minds that we need these faster and faster internet services in order to do all the things we want to do in our home. And what do they do along with that? They keep moving the price per month higher and higher. Now, particularly the largest phone company in the United States for local phone service, AT&T, and for home internet through a phone company. Verizon's kind of behind them on that. And then Comcast, the largest player using the Xfinity brand, they both love to do these teaser deals offering you internet, often at what they call 1 gig service. And then after a period of time, the price goes crazy. And they hope for inertia that when it goes from whatever that teaser rate is, that you'll suddenly pay them a fortune per month for that home internet connection. So what's become really clear, though, is that you don't normally have that need for speed that you're paying that huge amount per month for. In many cases, more than $100 a month for that home internet connection. Well, let me give you some reasons why you don't need it in many cases. First of all, in terms of buying it from the cable monster or the local monopoly phone company, in more and more communities around the country, Google is building out what they call G-Fiber, and they tend to undercut the cable monster and the local monopoly phone company by about 20 to 30%. But that's not the big savings. The big savings are coming from Verizon's wireless service and, to a bigger extent, T-Mobile. With the T-Mobile Home product that used to be available in very limited places in the United States and now is so many others, and then the Verizon wireless version that is available in more and more places in the United States. And neither of these run at the kind of speeds that are the ones pushed by Google's G-Fiber, your cable monster, or the local monopoly phone company, but at a much cheaper price per month. And the reality is the cable companies are scared, and they are starting to offer slower speed internet as a defense against the T-Mobile offering and the Verizon wireless offering for home internet. And they're now offering speeds. A lot of times they'll have a promotional thing where you can get 300, it's called megabits service instead of 1 gigabit, and at $30 a month. And this is to try to fight back against these interlopers coming in to their business. And let me tell you, here's what you do. Unless you're a gamer, where you really have that need for the enormous capacity, you're fine at that 300. You are fine at 100 megabits. You can stream all you want. And I can tell you something. We used to have a vacation cottage in a rural area, and the fastest internet we could get was, and there was no T-Mobile home, there was no Verizon wireless back then, and the only thing we could get was from a local phone company that the fastest speed was 3 megabits a second. I mean, much slower than you get on a cell phone now for data. And you'd try to stream something, and it would do what they call buffering. And the show, whatever it was, would just freeze. And you couldn't watch TV. You just couldn't do it. So that's at 3. Now we're talking about people buying bargain service at 100, or using one of these wireless services typically at 50 or 60. You'll be fine. I'm not talking about price per month. I'm talking about the speed of it. So you don't need to waste your money. And all you do is you try one of these slower speeds at a much lower price. And if everything's working fine, paying $30 a month, stop paying $100 or so a month. Think about over the course of a year how much money you're saving, and every dollar counts. Christa?
All right, this came in from Kip in Utah. I want to invest my tax withholdings and earn interest on that money. My plan is to not have my employer withhold funds next year and put that money into a separate high-yield savings account. At the end of the year, I would pay my taxes from that account. Is that a good idea, or am I missing something?
You're missing something. The IRS is all over this because, Kip, they will charge you underpayment penalties, and you will pay, let's say you're earning 5% in a high-yield savings account. That's about what the best ones are doing, somewhere right around 5. You'll be paying the IRS over 8% interest on all your tax bill due for underpayment of withholding through the year. In your case, non-payment of the holding, or underpayment of income tax. So they have this all figured out, and it's not the IRS that did that. Congress did, and there's a formula. So it's not going to work. Have your employer withhold taxes, and know there's no free lunch here.
All right, Steve in Missouri says, for the past few years, I've been tracking my household net worth, and I was wondering if you think that's important to keep track of. I don't recall you talking about net worth in any of your previous episodes, so I figured I would just ask what your thoughts are. Is it important to track or a waste of time? Thanks, and go Chiefs.
Steve, let's see. Can they win again? We'll see coming up. I'm talking about the ring. That we don't have the Atlanta Falcons ever. Anyway, so I think it's fantastic to have a household statement of assets and liabilities, having a net worth statement that you do every year in order to build towards having financial independence down the road. And the more you do it, it's like a positive affirmation that you're moving on the right path. I think that's true. And I think it also helps with goal setting. Because if you have a statement showing your assets, which would be value of real estate you own, money in the credit union, Money in a bank, you discount 80%. No, just kidding. Money in a bank or credit union, money you have in various investment and retirement accounts and all that. And then the other side of it, what obligations do you have? What debts do you have? And so having that gives you a roadmap, and it's like taking your financial temperature each year. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just a simple statement of net worth, assets and liabilities. And what's great is if you see a trend over the years with your liabilities going down at the same time your assets are building. And that is the absolute sweet spot with, if you've got a long trend line, you don't say how old you are, Steve, but if you have a long enough trend line, the perfect goal is to hit the point at which you wish to bag work or fully achieve financial independence, that you have essentially zero debts and you've got a really nice level of assets. And I think doing the net worth statement once a year helps you get to that ultimate goal.
All right, this is from Rex in Indiana. I got a free Amazon Prime trial and purchased 3 items totaling around $55. A couple of days later, I got an email from them saying my package was delivered, along with a picture of the package on a doorstep with a totally different rug from mine.
Oh, boy.
I contacted customer no service. They told me I needed to send them a picture of my state ID. I kept asking how my ID would help, and the customer no service reps continued to give me canned responses telling me that it was their policy. I asked why, and they just asked me, why do they have to have me send a picture of my ID instead of just a package on a random doorstep? I eventually asked for a refund on the items, and they denied it, telling me they would still need a picture of my ID to do that as well. I pointed out my billing address for my credit card is also the same as my shipping address and asked why that wasn't enough, but I continued to get the same unhelpful response. Please help me decide what to do. I don't feel comfortable sending them my ID, but I would like some kind of resolution. They won't receive any more of my money after this.
Okay.
Understandably.
Yeah.
It's a bad trial.
Right. This is messy. If you want your money back, you're going to need to give Amazon a copy of your ID. And the reason is, this was a trial. They don't know that the trial offer didn't fall into the wrong hands. Somebody's playing games. The odds that you would play games for $55 is so extremely low, but the Amazon customer no service workers are very limited in what latitude they have. And so if a check mark they have to have is they got to have your photo ID, your driver's license, whatever it is, in order to decide you're really not a thief, then I would supply it to them. The odds that something bad would happen from you supplying that ID are not exceptionally high. It's for a very specific purpose, and I think you just decide the value of the $55 versus the remote possibility that something bad happens from supplying the ID. And I can't make that decision for you, but that's the two things you have to weigh and balance. Amazon is a company that is not as customer friendly as it used to be. They're not as cheap as they used to be. And it's because Amazon was totally focused for so long on growth. And when they were focused just on growth and not profits, everything was about having very aggressive pricing and unbelievable customer service. That era is over as they try to make money now. And so that's why, even for longtime Amazon shoppers, the experience is not what it used to be. They're not a bad company. They're just not what they were before. Coming up ahead, congestion between metro areas is becoming untenable. And believe it or not, I'm a skeptic who more and more sees the possibility that rail is going to actually be part of the equation in the United States. A while back, I talked about Brightline, which is doing something that nobody in America thought would matter at all. They're taking very congested corridors in the U.S. and Florida and California, and they're building mostly privately financed, privately owned rail. And they've got a system underway that's going to have all kinds of additional tentacles. It goes Orlando down to West Palm, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Said that in the wrong geographic order. And now they're building one from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. And you think about these routes, they end up along interstate system freeways or interstate type roads. And still, it's a wonderful thing for people because the congestion in corridors between major metros in much of the country is so extreme. And you think about areas in the United States where this is true. How about what's going on in Texas with the amount of traffic going on among the big four? Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston. I mean, think about a corridor that somebody who's got the guts, who goes in and builds something, would really have something of value there to move people between and among those four metro areas. Because flying is a real hassle for flights of that distance. Driving, it's so unpredictable how long it will take. And I can tell you, spending a lot of time on the I-95 corridor and then on the 5 on the West Coast, driving between Los Angeles and San Diego and reverse, I mean, I remember the last time I drove San Diego to L.A., a drive that if you didn't have all the congestion would be an hour and so many minutes, took over 5 hours. And so if it had a privately funded high-speed rail, I mean, it would make such a difference. And the Northeast is where there's by far the most congestion, but the government made a decision many, many decades ago that continues to be a curse on the Northeast corridor. They don't have dedicated rail. Brightline built dedicated rail, so it doesn't have to worry about the freight train operators who couldn't care less if passengers sit forever waiting for a freight train to go by so then the passenger rail could go. But we cannot build enough highways to deal with the congestion that's happening with how metro areas expand in size, expand in population, and how one metro area bleeds into another. The I-85 corridor from Charlotte, North Carolina through Atlanta, that corridor is now seeing incredible traffic jams at any time of the day or night. From Nashville, Tennessee to Chattanooga to Atlanta, same thing. There are these sectors, these corridors that are ripe for doing what is so common everywhere else in the developed world, and that is to have high-speed, reliable rail as an alternative to getting on an airplane or getting in your car with the big question mark, what kind of traffic you're going to be going through. So just a thought, and you'll hear me from time to time talk about things that in America we need to rethink. And this is one of those things, because a lot of Americans feel like we just don't do things as well as we used to in so many areas. And we got it. We just got to put a focus on it and get them done.
I love trains. Absolutely love them.
But when would you ever?
I know. But I've traveled and using trains, like, it's just such a game changer.
I was once on the, were you on, when we went to China on staff trip, did you ride on the world's fastest train?
Did. What was that one called? I'm
It was
thinking
the
of
maglev
Yeah, I did.
in Shanghai. Huh. Wow, it was so weird to step on a train going 300 miles an hour.
It is
Well, we
crazy.
didn't step on it while it was going 300.
And the one in Japan's called the Shinkansen?
Shinkansen, that's an older technology, not anywhere as fast. The one that's the fastest of traditional trains, I think, is the AVE, I think is how you say it, across Spain.
Wow.
People rave about the AVE.
All right, we'll go to some questions. Richard in Delaware says, hello, Clark. I love your show. I wanted to ask where I could stash new home savings. I've been saving for a while now, and I was wondering, should I invest it, put it in a CD, and or save in a high-yield savings account? I hope to buy a home in 3 years. And we get a lot of people asking these questions.
We do get this
holding
question.
Money.
We get this question far more than we ever have because, well, we went through the years you didn't earn any money on savings. Now the disparity where you've got the giant monster mega banks still paying as little as 1/100th of 1%. Then you have online banks paying as much as over 5%. It's a much more relevant thing. And friends don't let friends put money in a savings account at Bank of America, Chase, Citibank, or Wells Fargo. And if you're doing it, it only means you need to stop hating on yourself and move your money. Okay, in your case, you can't be an investor. 3-year window, you are a saver. You don't know exactly when in that 3-year window you might buy a home. So I would say, even though the interest rate can change daily, I would put the money in an online savings account. And putting it in an online savings account is going to earn you, if you look at, we've got a list, there are several lists out there, you're going to earn roughly 5% on the money. The other thing is if you have an account with one of my favorite children, Vanguard, Schwab, or Fidelity, you can go into money market accounts with them, money funds, that will pay you a similar kind of rate just right from your existing brokerage account. CDs, what's going to happen with CD rates is really up in the air because financial markets are really worried about us having expanded deficits coming up at the federal level, which will lead to potentially higher interest rates. So the shift in the psychology of the market means that right now it's a better idea to just be a flat-out saver in online savings accounts or in these brokerage money market accounts with one of the discount brokers instead of doing CDs. And absolutely with a 3-year window, no way do I want you putting that money in the stock market.
Jamie in Georgia says, my husband and I and young kiddos listen to your show all the time. The other day, my father asked the best way to gift $500 to each of my kids. He was thinking of a savings bond. They are 8 to 12 years old. He prefers them to not get the money until their mid-20s. What do you suggest? I listened to a recent podcast where you said bonds were not the best option. What is? Preferably, it would be really nice for this money to grow. We already have a 529 plan, which we contribute to monthly for each kid. Thanks a bunch.
Jamie, I have such a strong bias to answer your question. Just know I have like blinders on and I'm so focused for your 8 to 12-year-olds that I would want your dad to use the $500 for each of your kids to have a custodial investment account at a discount broker. Like Fidelity has the easiest program to be able to do this. And the money could go directly into a Fidelity Zero Fund, which has no commissions, no ongoing expenses. And your kids would have the double benefit that over the long haul, they're going to earn more into young adulthood with money invested instead of in savings bonds or savings account or anything like that. And you use it as an opportunity to teach the concepts of investing. And then depending on the maturity of your kids as they become 13 and older, Fidelity allows the kids to have limited control over the account to learn more and more about investing. But you wouldn't want to do that till you felt each of your 3 children had the maturity to support being able to have that control.
And this is from Elise in Massachusetts. I wanted to share what Target is doing. I bought Target gift cards when they were having their 10% off sale, and I used my Discover card, which has Target at 5% cash back this quarter. The gift cards were just the card with no numbers or codes on them. The cashier has stickers in her drawer that have all the information. She scanned one to activate it and stuck it to the card. So no way for the bad guys to scan the codes in the store. The first time I've seen this, such a great idea to cut down on gift card theft.
Elise, I love this, and the only way you'd have a problem would be if it was internal. You had a dishonest employee, and that's so much better than what we have right now with these unactivated gift cards on racks that any customer, good or bad, could go and pick them up, take the cards out of the store, get the information off of them, take them back, put them back on the shelf in the store, wait for somebody to activate them, and steal all the money. So it's great. I love that kind of innovation, and I hope that the Target system stands the test of time to eliminate or at least greatly reduce the amount of fraud that just keeps happening called gift card draining, and we're going to get the calls next month because so many people next week are going to give gift cards to their gift recipients, and then they're going to go try to use them, and there's going to be no money left on the gift cards given because of how easy the producers of the gift cards and the retailers and the restaurants have made it for criminals to swipe all the money. So this is a step in the right direction, a retailer using a method, in this case Target, to try to prevent the gift card draining. Best gift to give somebody? Let's see if I have any. This, for those of you who watch our YouTube show.
Thank you, Clark.
Yeah.
$5.
So, I have a 5, I have a 10, and I have a 20. So there you go, Christa.
Thanks. I get the $5.
So for those of you not familiar with this, watching on the YouTube show, this is called money. It's actual cash printed by the U.S. government.
Mr. Abraham Lincoln is on there.
Abe Lincoln's on the 5. I got Hamilton on the 10. And then we got Jackson on my 20 here. These are real pieces of money.
I think I like Jackson better.
You like the Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing with this Jackson, I give it to you, other than the effect of inflation until you spend it, what do you still have?
$20.
$20.
Unless I lose it, which...
I give you, well, how are you going to lose cash?
I mean, I could lose just about anything. My father used to tell me I could lose my head if it wasn't attached to my neck.
Why do 2 of the flakiest people ever to live work together on this podcast?
I don't know. Combined, it works out fine.
But on the other hand, you go buy somebody a gift card, let's say for $20, and they go to use it, it's roulette. You don't know because of all the theft of the value off gift cards if you got $20 in your hand or $0 in your hand. That's the advantage of giving somebody this stuff. And you know, a lot of places still accept these things, these pieces of cash. And so that's what I'd rather you give somebody instead of giving them a gift card that you're playing roulette with your money. You want to play roulette with your money? Go to a casino. But do you want to play roulette with money that you worked hard for, that you're giving to someone you care about or love as a gift, and have it be a joke on you and them? You don't. Thanks so much for joining us today. Speaking of Christmas, I'll tell you something that's not a scam. It's Clark's Christmas Kids, our 34th year of taking care of the Christmas wishes of children in foster care. And It's something that means so much to me, and I'm so grateful to all the generous listeners and viewers who have donated in prior years or this year to Clark's Christmas Kids. If you're not familiar with it, go to clarkschristmaskids.com. You'll see how you can help us take care of these children this year and beyond. Next year, our 35th year of Clark's Christmas Kids. And know what we're about for you here. The gift we give you is knowledge so you can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. And we'll see you tomorrow.